Welcome to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I'm your host, Patty Lynch. Have you ever seen an amazing shuffler at a show or festival and wondered, how did they get started? How did they develop their skills? And who are they beyond the dance floor? Well, that's exactly what we're exploring in the show. We'll dive into the personal experiences of the dancers that make up our beloved community. We'll be learning more about who they are and what makes this dance so special to them. So, with that, let's jump into the show and let's get curious together. Hello to the Shuffle Curious community out there. This is episode 18 of the Shuffle Curious podcast. And in this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with my friend John. And John has a unique story, but as for many individuals, he got started with DDR, Dance Dance Revolution. And that kind of led him to really label himself as a dancer. He enjoyed it so much that he actually started breakdancing. And it's cool because DDR was actually his introduction into EDM music, such as trance. And so he really started to fall in love with that music and, really got his dancing shoes on during that time in his life. And it wasn't until he saw a bunch of shufflers dancing at Ultra in 2019 where he enjoyed it so much, he really wanted to connect with those dancers that he made the commitment to learn shuffling at that time. But it wasn't until he came to Denver and met his tribe, the Mile High Shufflers, and really started to share space with them and to learn from all the amazing shufflers that are here as well. And growing with this tribe, going to festivals, going to shows, feeding off of each other's energies, in those environments. And he really describes that as, some of his greatest growth moments is, by doing all these festivities with the music that he loves and with the people that he loves. So it was very neat to hear. I really enjoyed my time speaking with John. And I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So without further ado, this is my conversation with John. Enjoy. John.
What's going on?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Awesome, man. I'm very excited to have you on the show. It's been a long time coming, since starting this endeavor. You're always kind of on the forefront of some of the individuals that I wanted to have on the podcast because you were one of the first, faces that I saw of MHS, you know what I mean? And that was on the MHS page initially. And then, on the first meetup that I went to, you were one of the faces that greeted me as well. So just like a full circle moment, you know what I mean? And so I love having these conversations with the homies. You've very much been there day one of my shuffle journey here in Colorado. So, and I think we have a similar sentiment, of like how we snapped into MHS and things of that regard.
Yeah, so we were actually on board on the same time, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And, you didn't join that much longer after me. It was we were only in the same time period,
Mm-hmm.
from what I recall. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because when I came around, I thought that you were snapped in and you were already very much nested in the group. So but how we initially met was my first meetup, and it was my first one attending in Colorado. It was at Cheeseman Park. I remember it. And like I had mentioned, I had seen you already on the page, on the MHS page, and it was one of those moments where I was like, oh shit, that's the breaker. You know what I mean? That's the breaker who he's like the hybrid shuffler. He does breaking and shuffling. So I was like, oh damn. And it's funny because I always mention this in a lot of the episodes. I felt like because I had exposure to the page and I was seeing a lot of these faces, you know what I mean, doing their thing. I got familiar with everyone's style, and I almost attributed their style to almost like a superpower that each person had, because I viewed everyone almost as a superhero. And so when I saw you, and I was like, oh man, he's the one who throws breaking, and that was your superpower to me. So it was very cool to have that moment. I didn't realize how like kind of shy you were. You were like a little more shy on the shy side, and so maybe I was a little bit much for you or whatever. But I feel like our relationship was like a little bit of a slow burn because it was eventually just seeing you more and more. You got more familiar with me. I got more familiar with you. And then, we're just kicking it like homies at one point,
Exactly.
So it was very cool to have that experience of, you just being a picture on a phone or a video on a phone into real life. And then now we have more or less history now,
Exactly.
It's been a little bit, it's coming up on, I think, like 2 years or so that we've been just like chilling, going to shows, going to meetups.
2021.
Yeah.
Is when it really joined in and started. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But so with that, like there is a lot to you. You expressed a lot to me during our like pre-interview and things like that. You're a little bit of a outlier. Number one, just to list a couple things. You started a little bit older, like in your dance journey and things like that, and just your mentality around dance is very unique as well. So, but before we get to that, maybe we can just talk about a little bit about your background. So, with that, like, where are you from? Like, where are you coming from? And also, how long have you been in Colorado? And I'll have some follow-on questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm originally from Schenectady, New York. That's where I was, grew up in. I moved to North Carolina after that for 2 to 3 years, and then, I made it here to Denver, and I've been here since 2019. So, I've been to two major places, made 2 major moves in my life. This is my second one, and I'm basically here to stay now. I'm pretty established, and I work in IT, networking outside of shuffling and dancing, and my breaking. But breaking to me though is something some people go to the gym to stay in shape. I just do this because, again, it's like an instrument, to me, and it's, good way to stay in shape.
Yeah. I mean, dance, really, if you're dancing, you don't really need much else. I feel like dance is just like a form of calisthenics, like I think a lot of like your most intense core workouts can be replaced by like dancing, you know what I mean? Because like you're just using your whole body. So you're in pretty good shape, so I think that's a testament to that.
Well, more or less, I guess. But we'll roll with it.
Yeah, we'll roll with it. So you're coming from New York. You've been here for about two years or so.
Since 2019.
So, no, okay.
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, damn. Got it.
What bastard, so.
Roger that. I'll throw one kind of like curveball at you, just so the audience knows a little bit more about you from the onset. How were you as a kid? What was your temperament, disposition?
Oh, I was the nerd, and video game kid. It's the best way to describe it. I always liked science and stuff. I was always into science as a kid. Astronomy, physics. I mean, that's what I grew up in my college major. So.
And you're in IT now, right? So I mean, that's kind of like a nerd discipline too,
physics
right?
Don't pay the money, so yeah, I'm in IT now. So.
Got it. So that somewhat itches your scratch, I'm sure.
Yep.
And maybe we can even get into later on, like just how your brain thinks about dancing. You know what I mean? Like, because those seem like kind of like STEM backgrounds that you may or may not have. And how that helps you conceptualize how you want to dance, just based off of the lens that you're viewing it from. But with that, how long have you been shuffling for as well?
Since 2021, really. So coming up on 2 years now. That's when I really just start hanging out with the group more and more. Kind of. I mean, you kind of pick off off of each other and everything. As in learn from it. Dancing is contagious, it's like you see someone like really going at it, like really having a good set, like it feeds energy into you. So, we all kind of like feed off of each other in that way. But yeah, like I've been doing it for 2 years now. It's as long as I've been hanging out with the group for.
Yeah. It totally is contagious, man. And there's always new sources of inspiration that we garner by seeing either other shufflers or just other dancers, Like I was at Movement last weekend and I saw a bunch of people crumping and I was like, oh shit, that looks like something I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was like, oh wow, that's a different take on, because a lot of people were doing it to hard techno. I was like, I didn't think you could do this hard techno, you know? It's like, it was very cool. Shout out to Brent, you know, he was crushing it in this circle that we had.
Oh, he does crump?
Yeah, he crumps.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, hell yeah. Shout out to you, Brent.
But yeah, but I'm sure there's like, you've been having a dance journey. It seems like it's been more intense on this stage of your life than, you know, before. So what did life before dance or shuffling or breaking, what did that kind of look like? And maybe what were like some of the primers that got you interested and starting to lean into
dancing in general?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was DDR really. I started doing that maybe in like junior year of high school. Like by senior year, you know, I was the kid at the mall that would like be doing heavy mode on the machines there, like, quarter after quarter, you know, like get the quarter line and everything.
Spending your whole allowance on DDR.
I mean, not a whole allowance. Like, it's like, oh, you know, the Asian kid's going ham on DDR machine. Yeah, that was me. You know, I was that kid. So, but no, really though, that got me really interested in dancing. At first, like, yeah, like you're playing a video game. It's not actual dancing, but you know, like some of the songs, you know, you're moving to, like, would really like kind of like, you know, hit you in like a euphoric way. And that euphoria and like just how I felt, like, you know, move my body to the songs that they had, you know, like that's how I got introduced like techno, trance, house, like all the EDM genres, you know, that you do shuffle to is through DDR.
Makes sense.
Yep. So like I would watch YouTube videos of that, and those YouTube videos would lead to people doing the actual freestyle dancing on DDR, you know, where they're both playing the game and while like, you know, doing actual dance. And those videos led to, you know, b-boy videos and the breaking. You know, I thought to myself, you know, I was really like, it really like got to me, you know, like that same euphoria I'm saying. And like when I would watch these dancers, I would like feed off their energy, you know, I would like, it really hit me in a deep way. And then like all right, it led to tutorial videos. And yeah, that's where I started.
When was this? Because you said it was junior year of high school for you. When did you actually start looking into like the YouTube videos? And then
like senior year, I would say, like beginning of senior year, like by the end of it, by like for prom, I like did like 6-step, and everyone was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
you know, like that's fucking not, you know, like 6-step. It's like the basic of the basic. It was a shitty one too, but you know what? I guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's the beginning of groundwork for breaking, right? You know what I mean? It's not something to scoff at. It opens up a whole opens up a whole window. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll just say I'm glad footage doesn't exist. Just a little bit cringe, right? But I'll just say that much.
Got it. Hey,
high school John breaking it down.
Yeah, if you had a bunch of people like cheering you on, like, hey, that's what it's all about too. You know, whether it was cringe or not, like people were enjoying it. You know. Okay, so you started breaking in high school, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
What did that journey continue afterwards, like into college, and then you know afterwards?
Yeah, so I mean, like at first, like breaking the 518, you know, there's a community now I know about, but like back then I didn't know anyone really, so it was for all of college. I was basically self-taught, like through YouTube. Like I would. You know, like after classes and stuff like that, and I'd go into like in one of the lecture halls and no one's around and like do my thing there.
Yeah, break it down.
Yep. So it was rough at first. When I graduated college, though, you know, Albany had a small b-boy scene I got into. You know, did that for a couple of years, and then I moved to North Carolina. That's where, you know, I started to, you know, my breaking really started. I started really learning a lot with it because you know they had active scenes there, like. You know, regular practices, battles every month. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Raleigh Rockers crew and Street Rats crew. Trained a lot with them in those days, and like you know, again, we'd all see each other practices, everything, battles and stuff. So yeah,
got it. That's cool that you had a community before you had a shuffle community. You know what I mean? You kind of had a some kind of representation of what a dance community looks like and maybe the camaraderie that comes with it. What are some of the differences that you might have found between the shuffle or the breaking community
and the shuffle one?
And the shuffle community?
Well, I mean, b-boying and breaking is all about battling. I mean, that's the main, you know, attraction of it. So it's a really battle-heavy culture. It's a lot goes into that. We did crew battles. It would be the one-on-ones. The different types of battles. Like footwork battles. Seven to smoke. Like it's a more competitive sport than like shuffling. Shuffling's more kind of like a community thing. You kind of like more cheer each other on, stuff like that. Like there is battling with it, right? But like a lot of shufflers, don't like go into battles or anything like that. Really, it's more of again, more like a community thing, and just get down with each other at shows and stuff. I mean, I like both. It's even though you can just get down with each other with breaking as well.
Yeah, they both have their place. I feel like, but maybe one has more of an emphasis on the competition aspect of it. Versus, I feel like shuffling is kind of like a mixed bag. You know what I mean? It's like a choose your own adventure type of dance. Like if you want to lean into battling, you very much can. Like I've seen repeat competitors in many of like the battles that the communities nationwide have held. But I've also seen people who just like to rock with their friends and do mirrors and stuff. Yeah, festivals. Like that's their thing. Like they want to get a mirror with all the buddies that they haven't seen in a while at a festival, and it's like that's cool too.
Yeah. So I mean, like one big thing about shuffling to me is that it's a skill that you can apply more than breaking. Honestly, like I like going out to shows and everything. I like trance shows, house, techno. Like I go out almost every weekend. So, out in Denver, it's a really active music scene here, and I always wanted to learn, like I've seen people shuffling, like this is something you can do when you're just, out having fun and stuff like that. But it's like you're exercising yourself. It's a way to enjoy the music more on a deeper level too. That's what really attracted me to it. Like I want to learn this skill that I can just, apply more, like when I'm just out and about, and like it brings out the best in me too. Like you're happy and everything. You're high on the endorphins of the dancing and stuff. Like
you're doing it with friends that like and trust, like they're right side by side with you, and
exactly.
You can either be having an intimate moment with yourself, or you could be catching a groove with a buddy, you know what I mean, or ciphering in on a circle or whatever else. Like there's so many different facets to it that you can enjoy about it, that it's no surprise that you were attracted to this. But so with that though, you've kind of described like a little bit of life before shuffling. It was very breaking centric. What was like the first time you saw shuffling and you had that allure to it, the kind of what you're describing now?
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, 2018. It was at Ultra Music Festival 2018. I went out. It was kind of a solo fest. I went out there myself. Said, screw it, I'll see what this is about. Should have went to EDC that year, but oh well.
Yeah. It sounds like you had a good experience here. You found shuffling.
Yeah. Like I found shufflers. Like they had the circle going and everything, but like I did try breaking in there. Like it was pretty decent, but with breaking, like you need to understand it's like on every other beat. It's like on the hi-hat beats. Like that's what they call the breaks in breakdance, and b-boying. It took me a really long time to learn like how shuffling works. The shuffling is on every beat, right? Like
four on the floor,
Yep, exactly. Yep, four on the floor. So it was really a lot of work to unlearn that, and like that's what I realized at this festival too. But like I was thrilled by what people were doing there with the shuffling, like
Yeah, with Bambi, when he was on, he said he had something similar. Like I forget what music festival that he went to. It was something in New York, but he said that he went into a shuffle circle and was breakdancing a little bit. But he didn't feel like he could connect as well with other shufflers by just going in and breaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you felt that as well. It's like you're all dancing together, but there's something about being able to shuffle with other shufflers that I feel like is a part of the allure to learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta like take like a lot of the hip hop out of it, because that's what it is. It's a dance, hip hop dance, and like you gotta. I mean, there are ways to combine the two. We've seen Bambi do it. Like, I'm doing it now, somewhat at places. So
no, you do it for 100%, 100%. Okay, so that's when you first saw shuffling in that environment that you wanted to participate more in those environments and be able to express yourself. So what did you do with that experience, and how did you execute on it, or did you even execute on it at that time?
Like after that, I told myself I want to learn shuffling, but again, like I didn't know anyone. I was living in North Carolina at the time, so and I was planning my move to Colorado, so like I wasn't in a I'm settled down, want to learn a new skill phase. I was like, I need to make the next step in my life at that point, if that makes sense.
Priorities, yeah.
Right, priorities, exactly.
Straight.
But no, like again, like once I got to Denver, though, it was like I know a lot of dancers. A lot of them suggest learn a second dance skill, like a dance genre. It'll help your other ones. I'm like, what? I'll make shuffling that because again, it's like I can apply it to any show I go to. Like I love the music anyway, like EDM and stuff like that. I love that stuff, and like why not? Like, what's the downside to this? And like even now, like I would say, like I do top rock when I'm shuffling, and I'm doing like some shuffling when I'm top rocking. It's like they really I think like it really leveled up my top rock. Like when they complement each other absolutely. Like a lot of people say I do have a b-boy kind of style when it comes to shuffling, and like I give it a b-boy flavor. So
yeah, and you kind of have to, like with the move transitions and stuff like that. Like it needs to be. You need to be positioning yourself to transition from one to the other, which I can't wrap my head around. Like seeing you guys do it is actually really cool. Like I can't even go from jump style to shuffling to begin with. So it's very neat, and it shows that a methodical effort has been put into incorporating the dances together. You know what I mean? Because it's more than just the sequence of moves that you're doing. It's also listening to the music and when's the right time to now get on the floor or whatever, especially in the case for breaking. So it's very interesting to see what you do, and you're such a you stand out from our group because not a lot of us are doing that. Like we have some people who do a little bit of groundwork and have a couple power moves that they might hit the ground or go into the air, but no one is staying there and like doing a breaking routine such as you. And definitely send me some of your favorite videos where you are doing both, because I'd love to show people in the show notes like exactly what we're kind of talking about here. So what was kind of your ground zero for starting your shuffle journey? Like, were you watching YouTube videos? Did you wait until you got to Denver, until you started to practice? Was it only until you then met Mile High Shufflers that you started taking this seriously? Like, where did it kind of start? What was your ground zero?
Yeah, I mean, it started. I showed an interest, and wanted to start it from Ultra, but like, it started like with I met up with Mario and Josh Dunn actually back in like 2020. It was like people were still starting to go out. It was kind of like in the fall during that year. Met up with him once. Like Josh was like showing me, the basic moves and stuff like that. Like Mario introduced me to the whole group and everything. I forgot exactly who I met in those early days. It was at Cheeseman one day. It was just like, hey, John, just come out for a practice, Okay. And
was it a meetup or was it just a sesh?
Just a sesh. Okay. There were a lot more sessions back in those days. At Cheeseman, like a lot more activity then, but. Yeah, no, like that's who stands out to me during those early days, Mario and Josh, who's not around anymore, unfortunately. Like Josh was like, well, like one of the first faces I saw, and then like kind of, dropped off a little bit. So, but,
yeah, I've seen some videos of him. He was really good. He did a lot of shapes.
Probably, like sick dancer. Shout out to you, Josh.
Josh, wherever you are.
Yeah, where are you, Josh?
Got it. So you guys all crossed paths, and that was kind of the initial push to start shuffling here. When was that?
Fall of 2020.
Fall of 2020. Okay, got it. All right. So at that point, what did your journey look like from there? So you learned a little bit of the fundamentals. Were you practicing every day on it? Were you only doing it when you were breaking? You know what I mean, on the side? Like, how did that first 6 months look once you told yourself that you wanted to take this seriously?
So, I mean, I would try and regularly meet up with the MHS people. Just be a familiar face that would show up all the time. That's the best practicing, in my opinion. Is just be around other people that are doing it, because again, you're all kind of motivating each other. I did some, like work by myself at home, like if I'm cooking dinner or something, I like trying to, smooth things out a little bit.
Yeah, some T-steps in the kitchen.
Exactly, which is a good thing to do, actually. If you're cooking food, just waiting for the cook, like what else do you have to do, Just throw in some T-steps and run in there, But anyway, but most of my practicing was just going to meetups regularly, or like events, even like shows and stuff like that, and just, just throwing myself into the fire, I guess,
Yeah, got it. So it was a little bit of like a slow burn, I'm sure. Just learning a new discipline and figuring out how it incorporated like into your current style.
Exactly.
So when did you feel like because I feel like there's always like that inflection point of when we feel like we're good enough or the moves become automatic enough where we can kind of just flow from one to the other. And in your case, it might have been flowing from shuffling into breaking. But for a lot of shufflers, it's just from like, okay, I can go from a running man into a T-step to a Charleston or whatever move, Miami, whatever move that you have felt most comfortable and it complements like your style the best. When do you think that you reached that inflection point where you were just flowing?
So basically when it just started clicking one day?
Yeah, clicking, and it became a little bit more effortless and not as much strenuous on your brain.
So, it happened at 2 points, I would say. Like, first was at the Chris Lake show last year. I think that was June?
That was like
maybe
that was
August?
like August. Yeah, it was the end of August.
But that show, I remember that show in particular because I had so much fun at it. I remember Lily going ham in the circle, Lily shuffles, whatever.
Yeah.
She
Little shuffles.
Yeah. Yeah, she
Great
was
dancer,
like,
by the way.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Like I remember she was like doing handstands and stuff like that, and like really going on,
doing like splits,
like,
all the crazy stuff.
I was all about it. I was that energy though. Like again, like I fed off of it. I was doing my own stuff in there. That's when I started like to make breaking and shuffling click really. That's that was one of the first moments I really started to. I could like throw in some breaking in there and like stay on beat with it still, and then go back into just upper work. And the other one would be Dream State. Actually, that's where I fell in love with trance with at that show. And I was at Ellen Bluestone. Like JT mentioned the same thing too. You like noticed me just like in a flow state. Like we had earlier that night we had the Shuffle Wisdom. Circle going, going on. I thought I was gonna try and do that. I was gonna save my best stuff for that, but I think I did one set in there. I was like, I wasn't really.
That was tough. There was a lot of lights. There was a lot of eyeballs on you, which that it's fun. It's all good. Like I get like all the production behind it, and it was to be expected as well, and it was very cool to see like all the crews getting it. Sideshow was there, FTS, like just all the Shuffle Wisdom affiliates as well. But in that what did they call it? The vision stage. It was indoor. It was all dark. That's where Bluestone was throwing down. Like it just had a different vibe to it. You know what I mean? I think it was more conducive to a flow state.
Yeah, it happened naturally in there. I just remember just hearing the music and just I let it control me basically in there. I think that was where when you and Mario did the feral thing with each other.
Oh yeah. We just battled. And
then JT just film you and you look over at him and do this caveman.
Oh man, we were on one. We were having the best time.
That was hilarious.
Got it. So it seemed like at shows was really where you felt like you leveled up or you were on a different wavelength than where you were when you're just seshing or just in practice mode. Essentially. Got it. Do you feel like you lean into going to shows now because of that? You know what I mean? Just to find that inspiration or unlock those neural pathways that kind of helped you move your body in a more just fluid way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, like shows is like, you have the best sound quality there. Like you have the DJs doing their best work that they do, at DJing. So it's like, it's their best work, like kind of like brings out like my best in me. Cause like, I'll really like hear a song or something like that. Like, my head like starts shaking.
Yeah.
Like if there's a circle going, I start like at the edge of it and be like shove people around and like, there's no other, better feeling than that, just like really, the song really hits you like, when you're out and about and just like, you can't stop, like you just naturally start moving your body and like, let out the energy,
Yeah. And like, however you decide to do that, it's always fun because I think everyone has their own way of starting to feel the music and like prime themselves. Like for me, I like to just like strut around, you know what I mean? Like to just kind of walk around and then like jump into a Running Man or jump into a T-step. What do you like to do? Like what is your thing when you really start to feel like a beat that you enjoy?
I mean, let's start.
I see you bop for sure.
The head starts and then it's, I'll maybe get a T-step to like get myself into the circle and then that's where, going to Running Man after that. And, I only really stick with the basics with shuffling, honestly. Jorge mentioned this, like, he said there's a lot of different kinds of shufflers, some like more shapers.
Yeah.
But, he said like there's other people that just, make the basics look really damn good, like that's the kind of shuffler I would consider myself as,
Found it like kind of
foundation,
foundational.
Exactly, yep, the foundation kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a million ways you can make a T-step look, like there's a million, you can do all sorts of stuff with Running Man, like there's those two moves, like, that the majority of what I do.
You can do so much with each. I mean, definitely with T-steps, like there's an infinite amount of, variations and such. I always talk about like the T-step sphere. Like it's like, because when you're T-stepping, one foot is planted on the ground and it's either moving you backwards or to the side or wherever, you know what I mean? Yep. But then your other leg is kind of free to do whatever the hell it wants to. So I almost imagine on that other leg that is not weight bearing, there's like a sphere coming out of your hip that like if you wanted to kick, you straight up in the air and you're flexible enough, you could to the beat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you can kick. You can do a bunch of footwork. Like
it's like all these angles you can hit. Like you see like the sphere. It's kind of like the math graphs or whatever. Like I get that too.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun because I like to describe that, especially to maybe I've taught a couple people shuffling and whatever. And I like to describe that because there's no rules. It insinuates that there's no rules to how you T-step and whatever. There's good foundational ways to hit your T-step and to be on point with it. But it doesn't really, you can do so many different variations that you don't need to stick to just a reverse T-step to the side or just a traditional T-step to the side or rock this way. You know what I mean? Back, side, front, switch. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you can do so much more than that. And don't limit yourself to these sequences or patterns that we had to learn because it was the building of a foundation.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? Once you have the foundation, it's like now you can veer off and start
make it your own flavor,
Yeah, exactly. And then like, arm flow and all these other things come with it. As well, so it's very cool to be able to implement all that into your dance, especially when you've developed yourself up into that point. So, but with that, so you were developing, your own style and your own, your competency in shuffling. Were there any, trials, tribulations that you kind of faced along the way? Any maybe like plateaus or because you got to those points where you were very satisfied with yourself, especially at like Dream State and like Chris Lake, that you're on cloud 9 about how you were dancing. Either up until that point or maybe even after, were there any points of self-criticism or whatever throughout your journey?
Well, I mean, to be honest, kind of like in these recent months now, it's been a minute since I made myself practice in the studio and stuff because work's been really busy. It's been
you do work a lot. Like,
yeah.
I commend you for even finding time to dance. Now because I know you have a pretty solid workload.
Yeah, I mean, do what you got to do. It's just a busy time in the work. I mean, I was late this whole interview, because I had to stuck on a call. But it is what it is. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's what's really gotten me my plateaus where I'm not going out as much. I'm not. To get better, like you just, go out more and, just trying to, and again, like most of my practicing has been done, like just going out to shows with y'all and everything like that.
Yeah.
Just part of my, I have an exercise regimen as a part of my, me going out on Fridays and Saturdays and whatever, like at shows. A lot of it happens to be with you guys, sometimes not, and that's where I get my most activity. But again, and meetups and everything. And I do go to B-Boy Factories, try to go there every Thursdays.
Yeah. I mean, I think that definitely serves you well, and that's a fun way of getting in your dance and getting in exercise is by doing it with the homies and with the music that you love. And I think it's very easy to do that here in Denver because, we've got connects with a lot of the venues and stuff. So it's like you're not paying like a $50 ticket every single weekend. So, a homie can sometimes hook you up with a guest list or a discounted ticket or whatever else. So it's the typical barriers to going out, having fun, dancing, moving your body, being physical. Are not always there, or the common barriers are typically not there a lot of the time. So I think we are very much spoiled in this community to have that.
Absolutely, and thank you for guest list all the time, Patty.
Got you. It's mostly Mario. It's mostly Mario.
You and Mario, both of you guys.
Oh, and all the homies that are spinning. The DJs like Dee Dee's throwing guest lists here and there. And Emily Kim when she was out here, a bunch of guest lists there. When Frick is playing that sort of thing. So. It's super cool to have these symbiotic relationships because it just helps everyone. You know what I mean? Because when people show up on your guest list, they're then buying drinks for the venue, and it's like we're even helping the venues out. So at the end of the day, I think everyone kind of wins because everyone's getting into the right environments where they can apply, they can share their good vibes with. So and I think that's what we do here at MHS. It's like we bring that good energy to these shows, like there is something to be said about like forming the shuffle circles or just having like row by row of shufflers just like getting down and smiley faces and things like that. Like it's hard to not be having a good time when you have like a bunch of people next to you just having a blast.
Absolutely.
And so with that, we had talked a little bit before we got on the interview about not necessarily having a community throughout your dance journey. It does sound like you started to have a representation of that when you were in North Carolina. You started to find a breaking community, but it wasn't really until like you found MHS where you kind of felt at home. And don't let me put words in your mouth. Like maybe you can like describe like your experience at meeting MHS and like kind of calling them your community and kind of calling them a family as well.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it's the more hung out with y'all and we all had a common interest. We like to go to shows and just dance our asses off. What more can I ask for? It's we're all on that same level. And again, it's the feeding off each other sort of thing. We all feed off each other's energy. If someone has a really good set, it pumps you up. Just being regular there. I mean, in the North Carolina community and everything, I just wasn't part of any crews down there, because I'm not the best at like regimented schedules and stuff like that. And,
was that an expectation with like a crew, especially in that area, that you had to be at practice and you had to be working on routines or whatever?
Yeah, those kinds of things. And you're going to be going to other battles at in other states and stuff like that, and around the areas and things. So I mean, you need to practice with each other more regularly. But me personally, I kind of like to do my own thing. Like again, I don't see the regimented schedule. Like sometimes I go like really hard at, you know, dancing and breaking in general. Sometimes I take a break from it, you know, always pick it back up though.
Yeah, I think it, you know, your life and the events within kind of dictates that, or it kind of has to dictate that sometimes. Like you said, you have a crazy schedule with work and things of that regard. So it's like you kind of need to have that flexibility, and to have an obligation to the dance, maybe through a crew or whatever other obligation that makes dancing which is something that, you know, it's freeing and it's fun and it's a release, but to make it then something that is binding and you're tethered to it, like that might be a turn off, you know what I mean, for many people, especially if you didn't, like, that's not what you wanted to, that's not what you were signing up for. So
right, yeah.
You know, where do you feel like, you know, stepping into MHS kind of was a different look on that kind of like mentality of, hey, like you need to show up and practice and do all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand too, I don't think all b-boy crews are like that either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I was never a
yeah. Sorry if I'm painting that picture. No, like I have all respect for the b-boy.
No, exactly. No,
like, cool.
I do think it is a little bit more regimented than like what goes on at MHS. You know, it's like we're all going to be here. Who wants to show up? Who wants to get down? You know, that's what a meetup is basically. You know, we're going to throw on some music. Come on in. You know, like it's not, you know, anything more than that. You know, it's not. I mean, again, maybe b-boy crews do work that way. Some of them do. Some of them don't. Like,
yeah.
Depends on the crew, I guess. But
got it.
There's a lot less pressure on it. And again, it's more community focused as opposed to like we're a team. Like, you know, we gotta, you know, beat the other teams like in competitions and stuff. Like less competitive in that sort of way.
Got it. Who were some of, just out of curiosity, who were some of the first like faces that, you know, you're becoming familiar with at MHS besides Josh and Mario? You know what I mean? Like who really made you feel at home and you saw time and time again and became kind of got that family vibe from?
Well, I mean, you know, Mario's always been out there in that regard. Also, just people would show up regularly a lot, you know. I mean, be like, you know, Dee Dee and Emily. Yeah, there's a lot of the familiar faces, you know, like that's who are the people that really stuck out to me. Sammy, because like, you know, she has like she is the, you know, the Sammy, I guess, the Aurora to her, something like that. So stands out when she's around. She's like one of the founders too, obviously.
Yeah.
Jorge's always been there too. He's been if I would say like Jorge's like a good to me, he's like the symbol of MHS. You know, he's like one of like the OGs with it, obviously. You know, I mean, shuffling in general too with them, and he always sticks out in my mind as well.
Yeah, he's like a mascot or something. Yeah, very iconic regarding MHS.
And like again, like, you know, you're conducting these interviews now. You know, you've grown into a really familiar face too. Again, it's like people stick out to me are like the ones that came by the most. You know,
definitely, man.
Active.
Yeah, and like I hope like with this interview, like you become more familiar with our crew, with like on a national level, and you know all the above. You know, people will get to know you a little bit more too, and put your face like, you know, and associate it with MHS as well, because you very much roll with us, and you know what I mean. We'll probably be going to Dream State again this year, and like I'll probably try and convince you to go to ARC. You know, like all that stuff. So. And you pretty much represented MHS when we did our MHS kill-off back in October. If I do recall correctly, you were rocking the jersey and all that stuff. You got into the top 16 bracket to qualify, and you had a killer round. So could you kind of just describe that experience for you? Was that your first time in a shuffle battle?
First shuffle battle, yep. I mean, I did have, you know, a bit of battle experience, you know, because, you know, I started dancing as a b-boy. So, I mean, our events were b-boy battles, you know. I've I'm blown up to it. I mean, I've embarrassed myself in the circle before plenty of times. So it's like, what's this, shuffle thing gonna do?
Yeah.
But I ended up impressing myself though. I made it past prelims. Like once I heard that, I'm like, hell yeah, all right, let's go.
You got farther than me.
Yeah, well, I remember I specifically that night, I slept it. I went to bed early. I mentally prepped for it in the morning. I had a good breakfast. I got there early. I did plenty of warm-ups. I was on my own schedule. And when it came time to do my round, I was like, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
And again, I got to kind of impress myself with that. So.
Well, how did you feel like you impressed yourself? Like it sounds like you had your head on straight with the preparation and things like that. But was there anything in your run that was noteworthy that you just didn't feel like you had it in you, or what was the where were you impressing yourself?
So I kind of blacked out really, but I remember taking a Jorge's class and Paulina's class.
Yeah. They taught a Battle 101 class a couple months before the MHS kill-off, which was crazy good.
I think it was in March, and the kill-off was in October, so it was a minute before it. But I took note of things they discussed in that. I decided my battle plan was I'm just gonna stick to basics. I'm not gonna try anything fancy. Just make the basics look as good as it can. Stick to that, and we. In terms of MHS people, it was myself, Ali, and Oriah that made it to the next round. So, congrats to both of them as well. And we represented,
Yeah, you guys definitely friggin' repped MHS. I would have liked to have seen, more of us get in there, especially with Jorge being one of the judges. Come on, Jorge.
Yeah, he couldn't slip us,
Yeah, a couple points here and there. Come on, I didn't slip on the dance floor. I threw down. Come on, man. No. I think it was all the judging was very professional, very matter of fact. So kudos to Leonette and Mizu and Jorge. I think they did a great job with that. With being a part of that kill off, number one, are you looking to branch out and probably do it again? Are you gonna do it on the annual dates that we do the kill off, or do you think maybe you'll go out of state to do a thing or two?
Well, absolutely. If something like that is going on here, I'll definitely enter it.
Mm-hmm.
Out of state stuff, it depends, because again, I'm not a serious battler. Throw something together and get out there. And honestly too, during the battle, I kind of blacked out a little bit, and kind of it might mentally just stuck to the basics, just made it work somehow. And but yeah, there is a lot more. You need to be more used to tactics and stuff like that with it. The Maya Keys, that's the person that was in the brackets, that ended up beating me. She did something with her coat and stuff like that, but
And she was grinding up on you and stuff. I love Maya. I love her style. She's very feminine, but she'll just she'll lay it on you in a battle. She did not pull any punches. Neither of you guys did. That was so fun.
No, but my point is though is that it was something different that she did, right? I just did kind of the same thing. So I think that's what edged her. In my opinion, I wasn't a judge there. But, I think that's what got her to beat me that round. But
I think it was probably a hard round for the judges, because I think just enjoying yourself goes a long way. When the judges and the audience see that you're enjoying yourself, I think you get points for that. You know what I mean? Because it's there's no preoccupation, there's no agenda or there wasn't a pre-planning of strategy or tactics. It almost it gives that impression. And I feel when you're just carefree, it actually shows a level of confidence that you're just kind of flowing with whatever. You know what I mean? None of us know the songs that are going to be thrown out or any of that stuff. So your guys' round, both of you guys were just smiley faces the whole time. You know what I mean?
It's vibing, it's having fun. It's absolutely.
Which Madison got a lot of those videos, and so we're gonna put those in the show notes too. Those were a vibe. So Awesome, man. Was there anything else about that experience that, was just, I don't know, insightful, or reflecting back on it that was just maybe a level up in your journey?
Yeah, so I actually got to meet some of like the big name shufflers, right? Because again, I'm not that big on the social media game, like with Instagram. I don't regularly publish content. Again, like with me with shuffling, I just go out and have fun with it. Like that's my main. That's how I view shuffling. Like whether I'm being filmed or not, like I don't put as much emphasis on that. I'm more in the moment kind of person with that. But like that was the first time I met Mizu, I believe, Donovan, some of the big names out there. And like I got familiar with them. I saw him at Dreamstem, like, oh hey, what up? Like, got to like, like I noticed him out of a crowd and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, like I remember you.
Yeah, and that's a cool feeling too, to be able to have that a little bit of that rapport. And then when you see them out in the wild, I remember when you threw down at MHS, and it was that weekend was cool too, because we weren't just afforded the opportunity to connect with national shufflers at the kill-off, because we also had a meetup the day after. It was like a Halloween. Yeah. It was just like a Halloween, have fun, dress up if you want to, if not, cool. Meetup at Cheeseman, and we had some awesome DJs that were thrown down. And it was a national meetup, more or less, everyone who was competing in the kill-off was able to go there and just vibe. So it's like, if you didn't have a chance to do it at the kill-off, maybe someone that you really enjoyed watching, they were competing. Now they weren't in a competition role at the meetup, and you were able to approach them and just chat in that regard. So so it was a very special weekend, if I do say so myself, and I'm sure you feel
absolutely.
that.
It's one of my favorite memories, MHS memories, that weekend.
Yeah. Are there any other like experiences that you've had, throughout your journey that have really stood out? Maybe it's not a battle or even a festival. Maybe it is. But is there anything else that really resonated with you that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I mean, mentioned the kill-off. I mentioned Dream State. Mentioned Chris Lake. I feel like I've answered this question like throughout. I guess the other one to mention, I guess, would be one that really stands out as well. It's Global 2022. Had the
most recent one. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost a year at this point now, but like everyone came out for that. Everyone was having fun. Like I was waving the flag. I was fucking around with it with people, like putting in their faces when they're talking. Like, it was so much fun though. During that time, everyone showed up for it. Like it was above and beyond, I believe, and
that's where you guys had the Maha Shufflers meetup, correct? Or was it Lane 8?
Lane 8, and then it went above and beyond.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
But that was one of my favorite moments too. Absolutely.
Is it just because MHS was out in full force?
Yeah. I mean, everyone was out in full force. Everyone was so happy. Like I don't have a negative memory at all of myself during that that whole evening. Like, always stands out to me. Yeah,
I had like the ultimate FOMO with that one, because I was out of the country at that time, and I just saw all you guys vibing to Lane 8. I think you guys had a shuffle circle going at one point, but then everyone just like jumped in, and we're all just like shuffling together. And we all know Lane 8 is like just a vibe and a half. So it was really cool for the fam to be having that moment. And I didn't see you specifically in the video, but I'm sure you were in like the sea of shufflers that were getting down at that time. So it was very special to see. Unfortunately, I will not be at this global again. I'm sure you will be there as well, but or that you'll be there. But I'm trying to make it there at some point. I have to. It's like the only big festival in our backyard. Yeah, the local one. It's so easy, but just fate has not directed me in that direction. So
you'll make it there one day.
Yeah,
2024.
Yeah, I'll delay gratification. It's all good. But All right, brother. Like it was such a good time, speaking with you. I think we're gonna wrap up here shortly, but I have a couple more questions for you. I think the audience can learn a little bit more about you through these questions. So this is the world famous Final Five, and in this segment, I'm just gonna ask you 5 questions that I ask all the shufflers that I have on the podcast. And see what your responses are. Maybe they're similar to others, maybe they're completely different. But I think the audience will learn a lot about you with them. So the first question that I have for you is, what is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, well, I mean, I do have to say, in terms of shuffling wise, it's going to be trance. Like it. Oh man, after Dream State, dude, like it planted something in my head. Like I love trance now. I have blasted in my car, like especially side trance. That's all. I'm super pumped for Electric Forest. They're gonna have a bunch of trance artists there this year. Like it's my new love, actually. So
that's awesome.
My favorite one.
Were you into trance beforehand, even like increment or like little by little, or like?
Yeah, like I've always known about it,
Yeah.
But. Yeah, like in my DDR days, I've always loved like trance music and stuff. But
yeah.
But no, like Dream State like made it like it fused it into me. So it's hard to explain. It was so perfect.
You don't need to explain it to me, man. Yeah. Like I'm picking up what you're putting down. But it is a little bit indescribable to people who haven't been to Dream State. What the feels are, you know what I mean, and how that actually happens. Like how you get tethered to that genre when you're there. Like you start to understand why it's so special. And the only words that I can really put to it is that trance has a very beautiful progression of the music. You know what I mean? And Brent says it the best. It tells a story. It's like there's a storyline to it. Like I feel like techno doesn't really have a storyline. It's more just
in your face driving.
Yeah, There's still a progression. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like telling a story. It's more I don't know. It's like a visceral reaction to it. Like you get like a moment, like you have an emotion for techno, but you very much have an emotional response to trance, but I feel like it's also like very lighthearted and flowy, depending on what trance you're listening to.
It is more flow because like trance is like it gets its name because like you're in a trance. When listening to it,
hypnotic.
Hypnotic. Yeah, it's another way to put it. So
yeah, well, I'm right there with you. Like I can really appreciate that genre of music after that experience. So I'm right there with you. Next question: what is your favorite place to dance?
I would say my favorite place to dance is B-Boy Factory. Like I've progressed the most in there. It's something about the lighting. Like you have the lighting, you have the mirror in front of you, and then you like have the graffiti. Like you're just performing in front of the graffiti. Like a lot of my level ups, a lot of my best level ups came out of there. Like it's where the cutting edge technology is where I go to develop. It's something again. It's something about the floor is just right. The light, how it just like you're kind of like in a spotlight there when I'm practicing. Like it makes you like I focus the best there. I can't explain it. Like out of every other place I practice at, like I focus the best at B-Boy Factory. Like
got it.
Yep.
Got it. Understood. All right. Next question. What is your favorite set show or festival you've attended?
Festival, Electric Forest. I go every year. It is been going since 2017, and it's my favorite. There's 2 highlights to my year. It's that Electric Forest Festival, and when I go camping with my friends back home in upstate New York. We go out in the Adirondacks then. But those 2 things I do every year. Like I will sell organs to go to them if it requires it. I will make it there.
Got it. Hopefully the organs that you don't need.
Exactly. Hopefully I don't need it.
Yeah. Make it out alive. Okay, got it. Yeah. I've heard so many good things about E-Force. I need to send that as well. So one of our homies just posted a really cheap ticket. I don't know if you saw. I was like, whoa, word. You know what I mean? Like the clock started spinning a little bit, but I can't do it this year. But I will definitely be waiting. When I do decide to get an eForce ticket, I'll probably wait a little bit to see if any bargains come through. I feel like it's one of those festivals that sometimes that happens. So
Yep.
Next question for you. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book would be The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It was written in ancient China, basically. It basically outlines, how you should, be the philosophy, what the philosophy of war is like, and how you should, be as a general. Like, it was kind of like an advisor. He wrote the book as like to be like an advisor to, to like a kingdom or whatever. You pay the guy. But no, it was good for battling too. Like, I kind of try to follow its principles when I went to kill off battle. Again, I went there prepared. I was well rested. A lot of that goes into it. Being prepared for attack. It's also like there's a lot of like it applies to a lot of competitive things out there, like business, battling, obviously. And yeah, there's a lot of good quotes from that book.
Did you know your enemy?
I did.
Excellent. That was actually on the, I was in the Marine Corps, and that is on the Commandant's reading list. It's for all junior Marines and, but also officers as well. It was a required reading. So yeah, I can very much attest to it being a solid strategy book, not just for military warfare, but for life. You know what I mean? Exactly. At the end of the day. So very cool. The last question that I have for you is, if you could put any message on the main stage production of a large festival, think EDC Las Vegas or Tomorrowland, what would that message say?
So it's going to be really nerdy. It's not going to be anything profound. It's just going to be nerdy. It's going to be Let the Galaxy Burn. It's from Warhammer 40K. There will be some people in the crowd that will reference it, to get the reference. Most people, what the hell is that? Or I don't know. But some people get the message, and, it's a big integral part of like the Warhammer 40K Horus Heresy series. It's when the galaxy falls into like war and chaos. Like I won't get too much into it, but it's great though. Like some people will get it.
What is the meaning behind it? Let the galaxy burn. Like, is that a perhaps a dystopian type of vibe?
Yeah,
okay.
So it's like the humanity conquers the entire Milky Way galaxy. They subjugate it during like it was the peak of humanity, and then one of the Emperor's sons, Emperor of Earth, he rules all these armies and everything. He rebelled against his father. He was corrupted by the forces of chaos. And like that's like what started that line there started off the Civil War that started everything threw it in flames and everything. It's like kind of like a grim dark. That's like a genre of literature, and this this Warhammer, this universe in general. It means like you're on the brink of humanity, like all hope is lost, but you're hanging on like through heroic deeds and stuff like that. Like there's kind of like that vibe. It's a tabletop game too, and there's a lot of lore to it. It's just something.
What would you want the audience to pull from that? You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm picking at it.
Well, I mean, again, like it would be, no, and
I'm talking about like the audience at the show. You know what I mean? Not even just this audience. Like when they see that message on the main stage production, like what would you want for like the audience, for that DJ or whatever, to really like be thinking, or for it to resonate, for them to resonate with it?
So it would go well with like like a heavy techno drop, like a heavy like really like bass drop, bass drop, something like that. Like maybe flames on it. Like
let the galaxy burn.
There'd be like again the point is to like get some nerds up and be like, what, they really put that in, like.
Okay.
I'm trying to like speak with the nerds out there. Like, there will be some people in that crowd that recognize it, and like, like a secret message to them. Most people are like, what the hell does that mean? But
okay, like the Disney Easter eggs or something like that. Yeah. It's fine. Okay, got it. I'll pick it up what you're putting down now. Like a nuance that some people might get.
Yeah.
But it's palatable to everyone. Like Let the Galaxy Burn just to a normal audience member would just be like, it'd be intense. You know what I mean? It would have an intensity to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Got it. Cool. Thank you for sharing. And the elaboration behind it as well.
Absolutely.
So, awesome, man. I really enjoyed this interview. It was a lot of fun. I think I learned a little bit more about you. Actually, a lot more about you. And I'm just excited that we were able to sit down and make tonight work, because I know that you were on a call for a while, and you were able to get out in time. So
absolutely, it's been a pleasure, Patty.
Yeah, awesome, man. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience before we get out of here? Maybe something that we didn't chat about throughout our conversation?
Can't really think of anything. Covered all the bases, origin story, what really means a lot to me about this community, and I'm just going to be out there at shows again. Just catch me out there. That's why I learned this dance, to play at shows. So see y'all out there.
Awesome. I know there was one thing that you had mentioned, kind of like when we were not on air, and it was just like sticking with the dance.
Yes.
Perhaps like you can elaborate on what you meant by that. I mean, it's probably pretty clear or whatever, but what's kind of behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really hard starting out a dance. Like, a lot of people do give it up. Most important thing, is that, again, just stick with it. Don't be embarrassed. Like, if you make yourself an ass at a show, I've made myself an ass at many battles, even in circles sometimes, but it's just, shake it off. Who cares? Just have fun with it. That's the most important thing. And yeah, starting out for anyone is really rough. Dancing is a really rough start. You're going to be and feel terrible, for maybe up to a year plus, until it'll start clicking one day, you mentioned this, Patty. Until it takes work and takes a while to get to that. And the easiest way to do that, to get to that point, I would say, would be to just again, regularly show up and find a community of like-minded people, and just put in the work that way. It won't feel like work, because again, you're just regularly showing up to stuff. What I'm doing at shows and everything, showing up there, it's not work to me. I'm having fun, but I'm also practicing at them too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you for elaborating on that as well. So, this conversation probably resonated. I know it resonated with, some of the audience for sure. How can people connect with you if, they want to ask you questions, or just build some rapport with you? Maybe they really enjoyed your story, or it has relevance to them,
Well, I'll see you out there on the dance floor, and hit me up on Instagram too, I guess. I'm not as active on there, but yeah, I'll see you out there though. That's my main. That would be the best version of me,
Yeah.
On the battlefield,
Absolutely.
We'll see each other.
Collecting the vibes and sharing the vibes. Exactly. And all the above. And that's at Gin Life, right?
Yep.
JIN_LYFE.
Correct.
God, awesome. Cool, man. Thank you so much for being on. Once again, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I will see you out there. Hopefully we got a show coming up here soon. I will not be here, because I'll be in ShuffleCon this weekend, but hopefully we can catch a groove next weekend.
Okay, hell sure. Yeah. All right, for sure.
All right, brother. Take care. Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
Thank you for listening to the Shuffle Curious podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We are past the launch, and I'm so appreciative of the support that the show has received. You guys have really stepped up in a huge way, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I know this is a big ask due to the show just starting, and it's very much in its infancy, but any and all support would really be amazing from you guys. So I just wanted to come on and list a couple ways that you guys can help out the podcast moving forward. So first and foremost, subscribing to the YouTube channel would be a huge help. Also sharing and following the show on other social media platforms, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but in particular, YouTube will really help increase the visibility of the show, and it can help to reach a wider audience as well. In addition to this, Leaving a review on anywhere where podcasts are distributed, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, can really leave a positive impression on new listeners, and it will help them discover the podcast more readily. Also, engaging with the podcast, so leaving comments, participating in social media discussions, and just anything that would really help build a community around the podcast would be of great assistance. And please feel free, DM me my personal Instagram at Patty Creates, or the show's Instagram at the Shuffle Curious Podcast, with the spaces being underscores. I would love to hear any feedback, any ideas, any discourse around the show. It would be an honor to hear you guys out and implement some of the ideas and the feedback that you guys have for me. Also, donating to the podcast directly or purchasing a Shuffle Curious shirt would help out a lot. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of energy, and unfortunately money that goes into the podcast, and it will continue to go into the podcast. So let's just get one thing straight here. It's really been a complete joy doing the show, and no matter how much or how little monetary assistance the show receives, we'll still be performing the mission of bringing the Shuffle community together. But with a little bit of help, I'll be able to travel more for these interviews, buy better equipment, be able to compensate all the amazing people who have made the show a reality and have volunteered their time, things of that nature. So buying a shirt would be much more than buying a shirt. And I don't know if you guys realize, but if I ever saw someone at a festival wearing a Shuffle Curious podcast shirt, you would be my best friend in a huge way. I'd love to see it, and I'd give you a big bear hug. So you can purchase these shirts on the Instagram bio of the show, also the show's website, and then I'll have links in the show notes as well. As for the donation, just please send me a DM if you feel inclined to donate to the show. I will definitely entertain that, and if you're so inclined, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm not going to create a button for donating to the show or GoFundMe or anything like that. It would just be a conversation between you and I. So, and I thank you for that consideration. But lastly, you guys have supported the show just by listening. Also listening to this whole outro, that's awesome. You guys rule for doing that. And I just cannot understate my appreciation for all of you guys, for being a part of this crazy ride that it's been so far. So without further ado, I wanted to get on, give you guys a couple of ways that you can support. You can run with as many or as little of them as you would like, but I thank you, regardless, for your listenership and support. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Please get out there and dance, stay curious, and I will see you in the next episode, friend.